Brought to you by Refi. Refinance your defaulted private student loans today at yrefi.com/Ramsey.
All right, today's question comes from Hannah in Nebraska. Hannah writes, I'm a stay-at-home mom with 2 kids under the age of 4. My husband is a high school teacher making $56,000 a year, and he works 10 to 15 hours a day. During the summer, he works a job where he only earns $1,000 a month. I understand he wants to make a difference in these young people's lives. However, we can't make ends meet. I make all our meals from scratch to save money, but it isn't enough. We have $45,000 in consumer debt, and we owe $80,000 on a HELOC. We drive junker cars that are paid off. My husband is very good at his job, but earns so little and has crappy benefits. They only cover his medical insurance, so the kids and I are on a separate health plan. If I got a job, my whole salary would go to daycare. I'm grateful for all the blessings God has given us, but today I felt something break inside and I don't know how to move forward. What do I do with the feelings of resentment that I have?
That is a deep one.
What do you think, Jade?
You said it earlier, John, about math not giving a what about you, right? And I think this is one of those situations where there is a part of what we teach, which is this method for getting out of debt and finding financial peace, right? For those of you who are not familiar with it, it's the 7 steps, baby steps. And the first 3 ones are like humdingers, right? Because you're kind of doing the scorched earth thing to get $1,000 saved. Then you're going, balls to the wall. You're paying off your debt, except your mortgage. And then you're continuing that intensity to get 3 to 6 months of expenses saved. Doing that would give her peace like she's never experienced, right? With an $80,000 HELOC and $45,000 in consumer debt, that would give her what she's probably looking for. But in order to get to that would require deep sacrifice. And part of that deep sacrifice is not always doing the job that you ultimately want to end up at in order to get it done, right? There's part of this where you do a job, you might do a job because it earns you more money. You might do a job because it allows you the flexibility to do other jobs. You might do a job where you're working day and night, but it's only for a short period of time so you can get this done. So the sacrificial part of this is real, and that might be a very real part of your equation. If he's making $56,000, then, the 2 or 3 summer months, he's making another $3,000 combined. That's part of it. Now, if he's making $60,000 whole year combined in Nebraska, I will also, on the other side of this, say that is median income. So there might be part of this. I think median income is like 67. But if you're at 60, you're pretty much there. So there might be part of this. She doesn't mention anything about the house. I don't know how much the house is taking up their money.
Well, it sounds like they have 2 mortgages on it.
Yeah. So that could be part of the problem. I don't know, Hannah, but it's possible that your mortgage could be more than 25% of your take home. And if that's the case, you will be feeling it. And then to her point, daycare is expensive. Okay. For one kid, my daughter, it's $1,400 a month. Yeah. And when my son was in, his was $1,200. Her place just went up, and we actually put her in a different school once his was freed up. So the idea that, okay, for her, she's got to take home at least $4,000 for her to feel like she's making money, right? And so for her, she's probably like, I don't know. So what I want to highlight here is, as much as I love people to do work that they love, and as much as that's part of our heartbeat here, there is part of it where you go, okay, what can I do in the meantime? Maybe he goes back to being a teacher, but maybe for now he gets into a field. I don't know if there's one he can get into, but something where he makes more, or maybe he's tutoring for a while. There's got to be something else in addition to, or pivot altogether.
Here's my hot take. Teachers are number 3 on the millionaires in the United States, according to the Ramsey study that they did. Yeah. Right. And when I dug into that, Dave and I have gone back and forth, and he talks a lot about they're experts at making a plan and following it for an entire year. That's what they do, right? They make lesson plans. Having grown up, having been married to the person I married was an elementary school teacher. That's what she was doing. I also got a ringside seat. She understood the world she entered, right? So she entered what I call a Corolla world. That's what she expected to drive forever, because she knew, I want to do this thing, and so I'm going to build a life that requires that can be that I can live on this salary. Yeah, it's what I signed up for. I don't believe you have a right to, quote unquote, work your passion or, quote unquote, make a difference when you've made previous choices that put your family $125,000 in the hole.
Yeah.
So I want there to be amazing teachers. We need amazing teachers. And this husband has, this guy who works as a teacher making $56,000 made choices.
Yeah.
And I'm blaming him. His wife may be fully on board with these. Y'all made choices that said you can't work your passion right now because we owe everybody.
Facts.
Right? And so when you get this $120,000 paid off, then you start having the passion conversation. I have this conversation with people who want to go be pastors and they have $100,000 coming out of seminary debt, student loan debt. You can't.
Yeah.
You can't afford to quote unquote work at your mission church because before you chose your quote unquote mission, you told a bank, hey, if you guys will pay for me to go to school, I'll pay y'all back when I get out. And you can't afford to on this quote unquote mission salary. Social workers in my world, new therapists, if you go to some fancy school and take out $200,000 of loans, you can't go be a therapist working with the least of these in our communities, which we desperately need because you've taken so much money out beforehand. And so that's number one. Number two, Hannah has, I think she has either or'd it. And so meaning I either work full time and my salary doesn't do anything, or I have to stay at home and not make any money.
That's not true.
I've got some friends. One of my closest friends in the world, he is a school teacher, and he's also a writer, an amazing family, and his wife stays at home with kids, and she keeps 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 other kids. And they are both exhausted when they go to bed at night, but they make it work,
Well,
right?
that's the thing. This is not the way you live your life for the rest of your life. This is a short-term sacrifice for a long-term goal. So even if you're a stay-at-home mom, there is something you can do. And to your point, you're going to be exhausted. Like your eyes are going to be bleary. There's no getting around that. And I also want to add to this, an $80,000 HELOC, typically it's not one spouse that makes that choice.
That's right. That's right. It's unfair to dump all this on him.
Yeah. And so now the $1,000 a month in the summertime, that ain't going to cut it. Like you just, there's got to be more to this. And I feel like, I don't know what it is, John. I feel like more and more, I don't know if it's just the way of the world or like culture right now, but I feel like more and more when we tell people you've got to grind it out, there's just kind of like this scoff of like, that's not possible. Or are you kidding? Have you seen my life? Or there's just kind of this part of it where they think we're not being serious. Like, are you really meaning?
Where it's frustrating is you and I both, I don't want to make it about us, but we've both been to the grind it out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
and it's a real place.
it's a real frustrating, rage-inducing place. But it's the jet fuel that gets you to that next line, right?
Yeah.
And I can't think of a conversation other than telling somebody that a loved one has passed away that I would want to have more than sitting down with this husband and father who's a great teacher and saying, the world needs you, but you made choices together with your wife before today. And so as Paul Thomas Anderson once said, you may be through the past ain't through with you. And so you're going to have to either stop working 15 hours a day, you're going to have to move into administration like tomorrow and double your salary, or you're going to have to work 3 jobs in the summer until you get this stuff paid off.
Yeah, man, we need...
That's the choice.
There's no getting around it.
It's math.
I want to know where the real ones are out there who are willing to be a one-car family and grind it out for a year. I want to know the folks who are willing to sell their beloved televisions and their big sectional couches and really make deep sacrifices, who are willing to work some more to make deep sacrifices. You have a call center job, you have your 9-to-5 job, and you sell cookies on the side. I want to know where those folks are, because those are the folks who are getting out of debt and they're doing it quickly. This is The Ramsey Show.
Why Refi refinances delinquent private student loans for struggling borrowers. Learn more at yrefy.com/Ramsey.